So viewers and subscribers, welcome to another episode of the Coaches Desk with your host, Kevin Minze. And we have joining us today in studio is one Keilando Goburn, coach of St. Jago High School Girls Track and Field team. So we'll be talking to Coach Coburn just to hear some things that are on his heart or on his mind to share with the audience. Before we get into that, please remember to subscribe to this channel, share and like the videos. And of course, you can comment down below in the comment section and we can continue the discussion. All right, Coach Goburn, welcome to the Coaches Desk.
Good, sir. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, it's a pleasure for us to have you here as well. Let's get right into it, Coach Goburn. Could you tell us who is Keilando Goburn?
Basically, Keilando Goburn is a Jamaican first and foremost. God-fearing, family-oriented, aholic, driven, motivated, assertive, just as possible to, have a positive impact on everybody that come, around my presence. Yeah, that's basically Keilando Goburn.
All right.
People try to, differentiate, work from play some kind of way.
All right, that's good. All right, Coach Goburn, how did you get involved in sport and to a greater extent, coaching?
Well, I've been basically involved in sports all my life. I mean, as far as primary school, in Dwayne Park Primary, I played where we won the All Island Cricket. Those days we were playing in a khaki pants and white school shoe. Remember distinctly we went to the finals with Mile Gully. We won the Island Championship. Fast forward years later, I also did track and field at primary school. I went to primary champs and did reasonably well. Fast forward years later, I went to St. Jago football at all levels, under 14, under 16, and of course the Manning Cup. Went to Manning Cup semi-finals, went to the under 16, and of course participated at champs for a number of years. So I've basically been involved in sports all my life. In terms of coaching, when I left high school, I started to volunteer here and there, started in my community. Then I started in schools and I started here. Eventually, when I landed at Jago High School, that is when, my coaching career actually.
Okay, that's a bit of history there. Sounding good, sounding good. So you have been involved in sports from a tender age up until now. That's good. So Coach Goburn, what are your thoughts on this year's postponement or cancellation of the ISA Boys and Girls Championship? We know it's long gone, but let's hear your thoughts.
Well, to begin with, I thought the organizers were basically left with no choice but to cancel the meet. Initially, I was saying that a postponement, would have been necessary and then we could wait a bit and then maybe the cancellation. But then we started the impact that this thing was having globally. Then I thought the organizers really had no choice but to call off. A rippling effect right across the board. I left first and because we're like 2 weeks away from the championship. Realistically, I honestly thought that St. Jago High girls team had a realistic chance this year of taking on with the title. But such is life. The good thing about it is that we're not the only school that is affected. It affected everybody.
Definitely.
So I guess we have to just move on from there. But it was a tough pill to swallow nonetheless, and to make matters even worse, we didn't even see it coming, Today we were preparing for champs and then tomorrow we got the news that there'll be no boys and girls champs, and quite devastating.
And I can assume how devastating it was even for the young charges, especially the final year students. So definitely it was a big blow, but it is something that we have to deal with and move forward. Now, on the heels of that, Coach Goburn, some primary school coaches, they are bantering about primary champs not being held this year, and some are even saying that whatever transpired this year is really going to show up the high school coaches in terms of their own development. How do you answer that question?
Well, I can tell you definitely off the bat that, so the cancellation of the primary champs or the primary meets, it is definitely going to have a damn effect on the high school programs. In terms of showing up coaches, I'm really sure about that. I mean, the thing with Jamaica is that we have a fountain of talent. I mean, and then the coaches in Jamaica, I know that they are fully aware of, what is happening and where the talents. So I know that I won't be surprised if, especially the traditional schools, try to go out and get the talent nonetheless. I mean, it would be much easier for us, having the primary meets, to select athletes to come over into the high school program. But it's a unique situation. And as I said before, it cannot level the playing field. Everybody is affected, So I guess we just have to move on, take the positives out of it and move on. But we definitely couldn't put the children at risk in terms of having the championship. So that's how life goes on.
Definitely, Coach Coburn. Now, due to the cancellation of this year's meet, and there's a lot of uncertainty hovering around when it comes on to the COVID-19, how will that affect your charges or your preparation going into the 2021 season?
Well, definitely, based on we're seeing, especially in the international media, quite evident things will never be the same, as just being a regular person, maintaining your existence, it will not be the same. So I don't think sports will be no different. I mean, much is dependent on the World Health Organization. We are depending on them for their, they have the expertise. So we are hoping they maybe give us a clearance pretty soon. But I know definitely that it will not be the same. In terms of champs next year, even right now, we're not sure exactly what will happen. I mean, I said ISA, has to be dependent on the Ministry of Health and other stakeholders, sirs and other contributors to the games or the championship. But it won't be the same, but we are hoping that the charges will get an opportunity to compete again, even if it means that, have to do it without fans or spectators.
Yes, I was getting into that. But since you mentioned that, good point. Now, since we're on ISA, you mentioned ISA. Many persons are saying that they came up with a rule change that would have leveled the playing field, as well as it would have damaged some talents that would want to move to a quote-unquote better program. What's your take on that? The new rule.
I personally, that's reference to the transfer rule.
Yes.
Okay. Personally, I agree with the rule to an extent, but for me, one size does not fit all. Migration has been around since the inception of time. Animals migrate from the north in the winter. So migration is a natural act of life. And in case transfer versus transfer for different reasons. The problem I have with the six farmers. I think you're punishing an student athlete for doing well in their exams. If an athlete does 5 years at school A, I cannot foresee a reason why you would want to stop them from participating for school So putting a quota on us to me is you're punishing student athletes. The average sixth former, the average student can go to 5 schools if they want. If they want to transfer every year, it is not a problem, right? Are you punishing student athletes? So technically, you are telling student athletes not to do well in their CSEC exam, right? The rule is okay for the lower classes, but I think ISA could be a little bit more lenient with the sixth farmers. The reality is the numbers, right? The reality is, Mr. Minz, is that whether we want to agree or not, I will know say ISA is a body of principles, but the reality is there are some schools that will never take an athlete to a certain level. They may be okay to identify the talent or to take them to X place, but there are programs and there are programs, right? And we have seen a lot of athletes, I mean, both at the high school level or sometimes even moving on to the college level, you know, benefiting from transfers. Limited summers to me, no. I mean, student can do it. So why can't you, you know, have a little bit more lenience with the sixth form? So I'm saying ISA should at least allow at least 5 or 6 transfers in sixth form. You know, persons move for different reasons.
Yes, and I agree with you in terms of the developmental section of it, because there are many schools that will just bring an athlete to a 5, while another school will supersede that and bring them to a 8, 8.5, 9. And that will benefit them even going forward to their scholarships overseas and so forth. So I think the transfer, especially the older children, should be getting a little more leniency where that is concerned.
So right, because the average sixth farmer is like what, 17, 18-year-old. These people are adults. They have driver's license.
Yes.
They can vote. They are local. So why can't they make a decision to move from school A to school B? Why does they have to have a consequence or a penalty? You know, I cannot see the rationale behind that. And I mean, if you look at the sporting landscape right across the globe, transfers is what keep the wheel going. You understand? In every sport. If you look at football in Europe, NBA. Transfers is what keep the NBA. Yes. I mean, every single facet of, you know, is the transfers, because clubs and teams and coaches and managers are always seeking new talent to remain relevant. So putting a tab on the transfers is good. ISA know the culprit. ISA know the persons who are taking advantage of the previous rule. You know, I think we should have gone ahead and just punish those persons and, you know, put in a box.
Well, I would want to believe that they want to have a level playing field in terms of fair play. That's why they probably would have leveled it across the floor. So definitely they are trying.
But the playing field cannot be leveled, not opportunity. You know, everybody have to get opportunity. That is when the playing field is level. You know, and the reality, as I said before, is that, as you said, that will bring it to 5, and then if they transfer to another school, it might take them to 8 or 9, you know. But I mean, such is life. But I'd love for ISA to revisit that rule as it relates to the sixth farmers. The lower classes are okay, but the sixth farmer, they should try to make amendment to that rule.
I hope that this recording will reach to somebody from ISA, and they will reconsider that rule. You know, Coach Coburn.
The problem with ISA is a body of principles. It's a body of principles. So the principles are the ones who actually make the decision. So let's hope, I mean, good sense can prevail and they can start to see how this will affect. It started affecting athletes already. I mean, I've had several discussions with athletes. You know, you have athletes at school with no sixth form, because they are not in the quota, they can't come over. They have to stay with her.
Yes.
So you're them.
Hurting some athletes.
Mm.
And
Right.
at the end of the day, the children should be the center of this thing. All right, moving on, Coach Goburn.
Right.
Where do you see coaching now as compared to like 2 decades ago in the high school or at the high school level?
Well, definitely the coaching has evolved. I mean, you can see it in the performances at boys and girls champs every year. College have done a tremendous job in out some coaches over the last couple of years. Champs was concentrated, maybe for the boys in the corporate era and for the girls maybe in central Jamaica. But now we're seeing schools as far as, in the West, when it looks like schools like Petersfield, I mean,
Yes.
thumbs up to Coburn down there doing an awesome job. Green Island and, Rossies and, St. Mary High and, there are a number of non-traditional schools that are doing. Gone are the days, it's just a handful of schools, vying for the coaching has improved. It is the test performances. Have to big up GC faster and for really doing a good job in training.
Right. So the talent pool is wide in Jamaica. Now the coaching pool is wide. So long are the days gone when persons have to come to the central area for the girls and the corporate area for the boys to be developed. But now it is quote unquote evenly spread across the island where top coaches are everywhere doing their thing and some are improving athletes.
All over.
Yes. So as I said, kudos to GC Foster College for pushing out year after year some great sporting minds, especially in the field of coaching. So kudos to them. All right.
Good promotion for GC.
Yes. Is there enough being for the junior athletes, the development of the junior athletes?
I don't think enough is being done. I honestly think that as a nation, try to invest more in grassroots. I think we're taking it for granted because the schools are always trying to deal, so we can prepare the athletes, for champs or maybe by extension represent their country. But I think we need to get more sponsorship on board. Corporate Jamaica. We need more synthetic tracks. We need more equipment. Sorry, we need to invest more. I was speaking to a national coach, a friend of mine, who lives in the States. She works with the U.S. national junior team. And then when you listen how they go about it, they're very forward thinking. If they have a championship in July, they select their coaching staff fraction, the management team, and they're due to ensure that the best of what is available comes to the trial. That means the USA will always be strong. Another area I think we need to start looking into is psychology, sports psychology. We go on these national teams, these global meets, you realize that the first world country they travel with their psychologists, and it makes a big difference. When you're in Jamaica, the coaches, the psychologists, or the principal or the guidance counselor, or maybe parents. But having a trained applied psychologist actually means a big. But I think we can step it up. We can step up the plate in terms of investing more in grassroots athletics.
Yes, because this is where the seniors get their talent from, the junior level, and much is not being done to enhance those talents so that they can transition. And let me jump over into that question now. Why are the junior athletes not transitioning? Is it the narrative that the high school coaches are selfish? It's all about champs for them? What is it?
I can speak from personal experiences. The average person would sit in the stand and they would say that, the coach burn out the athlete and the school is not doing this or the school is not doing that. When the reality is probably 2 or 1 out of every 10 athletes leaving high school is actually interested in becoming a professional athlete, irrespective of how talented they are. And I've learned that a number of them, they really want to just get a college education. They are not interested
Definitely.
in moving on. That is why there's a percentage of them not matriculating to the senior. But that is a big myth that because you're a youth or a junior star, then automatically you will transition to becoming a senior star. If you even look at Usain Bolt, he had his fair share of challenges. He was a world junior champion at 15 years old, and he did not just walk over into becoming a senior. He had to pay his dues, and he had his ups and downs till he eventually got it right. So nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. Not because you do well in your GSAT, it simply means you're going to ace your CSEC.
So Coach Goburn, the avid fans of track and field, the pundits, those individuals, they like to see a quick fix in terms of transition, and they blame coaches, they blame schools talking about burnout and stuff, but they are not in the know-how in terms of the coaching, the mindset of the athletes and so forth. So they are really on the outskirts, not knowing what is happening on the inside, because there are many factors that cause these children not. And like you said, these children are not
so many variables.
Track and field after high school. They just go through the motion to get their degree if they are given a scholarship, and it's based on what they are doing on the collegiate system. Now they realize that there's an opportunity to go pro. So I definitely agree. Don't know what is happening.
Yeah, some of them they are focused primarily on their current economic situation. So they see this as well to take them out of poverty, to get an education. And if they become a professional athlete, that's bonus for them.
Yes.
I have worked with talented junior athletes who, could have been world class, but they're just not interested. Some of them it's a struggle for them to train, in preparation for champs. It's a struggle to get them just to train. But the average person would sit in the stand and make all the comments, but they really don't know what is happening behind the scene.
Okay, yes, I definitely agree with you. Coach, are we producing enough talent in this era as compared to in recent past?
I think we are pretty much doing the same. I think what robbed the athletes of their moment in time was the whole anti-doping, the whole inception of WADA in 1999. I think that somewhat leveled the playing field. I think the athletes of yesteryear, the early 90s and 80s and 70s, that they had equal ability. But what was happening globally in terms of those stuff like that, they were robbed of their moment in time. But I think right now, we as a nation, we are sitting, all we need to do is to just plan. Other territories are planning, so we must not take anything. We need to plan months ahead, years ahead in our youngsters, and don't wait until they are struggling or they have to come on TV and cry. Just try to invest in.
Yes, and we see where things have been put in place for the senior athletes. Would love for that to be rolled over into the junior section of track and field, because they are doing a little thing for the seniors. But Coach Goburn, I really appreciate you being here on the coach's desk this afternoon, and it's a pleasure to have you. Before we go, any final words that you want to share?
Well, basically, I just want to, tell the entire world that, there have been a lot of talks about Jamaica's male sprinting. Diminishing, and we are struggling after post-board era. I don't think this is the case. Before Asafa Paul, we were never dominant. We were never winning global medals and records. So I think things are cycle. We had our time, and I think eventually we will get back up. I'm not worried about the talent in Jamaica. What I'm worried about is how we are going to harness these talents, moving them from point A to B. In reality, coaches from the high school get paid to prepare athletes for champs, right? So after boys and girls champs, coaches have to tap into their own peer global events or global champion. If we want to go back on top of the world, we have to start investing in these as
Well said, Coach. And again, thank you very much again for being on the Coach's Desk. It was our pleasure having you here on the Coach's Desk, and you have yourself a blessed.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. My pleasure.